I want to talk a little bit about your passion project called Dancing on the Precipice.
Okay.
And did I get that right? Did I get
Dance upon the
Dance
precipice.
upon the Precipice? And maybe can you just talk a little bit about what does that mean?
Okay.
And why?
Sure. Let me give you a little background on it then. So I had ridden motorcycles as a teenager. I grew up in pretty poor parts of the San Fernando Valley in a blue collar family. My dad was a electrician, and my entrepreneurial journey started back then because I had to make my own money to buy my own items in life at a very young age. It was a very much of a tough love kind of depression era father that I had. And he wanted his son in particular, much more so than my sister, to be fiercely independent and capable. So while growing up in that context is tough when you're a kid, it paid off enormously in my life on a multitude of fronts. So roll forward, I ride motorcycles as a kid. We would ride up in the desert at a racetrack there and motocross and in the desert. And we were renegades riding through the valley. The valley was very agricultural then. I then paused, had a career, raised a family. And then you mentioned I went to Harvard Business School. This is part of the story, and that is there are a dozen of us that used to play poker in my apartment at Harvard Business School. And we vowed to get together every year after graduation in a different part of the country, of which one of us would host, and kind of grow old together. We get together, we play cards, go to nice dinners, do athletic things. And we've done that. We're notorious at Harvard Business School for doing this. We've done that every year except last year due to COVID for 38 years.
Wow.
And we're brotherhood. Rolling back.
How many in that group?
There's a dozen of us in the group. 8 or 9 usually show up. In fact, I'm hosting it next year. I've hosted it a number of times at my home. One of those members of our brotherhood died about 14 years ago now. And I was extremely close to him, and he died of cancer. And I helped him and his family for 14 months go through the process of grieving and dealing with all the issues. His name is Howard. He died at his desk working, literally. Wow. He didn't die sitting at his desk shortly thereafter. He worked till almost the day he died. That was impactful on someone that was working 100 hours a week for 25 years. And I looked at that situation. I had done well financially, fortunately, and said, my life's going to change. And I bought a motorcycle, I bought a Harley Davidson. And I'm making a very long story short. I started traveling the world on motorcycles in very, very remote, dangerous parts of the world by myself, off-road quite a bit in a very adventurous way with no planning, no GPS, just a map. And those maps aren't good off-road, ill-prepared in terms of something happening medically, but this was all intentional. I was thrusting myself, as I have my whole life in business and other settings, into dangerous situations such that if something happened, I had to figure it out because I know the benefits that result from that in personal growth. And having
how did that make you feel, and what are the benefits? Like, what was the result of all that?
So I'm a firm believer in the only manner in which we grow personally is by confronting adversity that's either come our way passively or that we have sought, persevering tenaciously. This is the theme of Dance Upon the Precipice, persevering tenaciously through the obstacle, or what I call challenge. I don't even call them obstacles. And then coming out the other end, successfully conquering that challenge and having what I call another arrow in my quiver. I don't think you can win a war without going through a series of battles. I don't think you can successfully go through life, which is constantly, whether it be entrepreneurism or just daily existence, if you haven't gone through persevering through every challenge that comes your way and having an optimistic attitude about it, and then being better equipped to deal with continually ascending problems that come your way. I talk to my kids about this. They're 30 and 32. their generation, and my son will tell you that, and he's a hard worker, he's in private equity, is a soft generation. You're dealing with death. You're dealing with, how do I pay the bills? You're dealing with children that are challenged, with challenging parents, friends. You're dealing with all the social media issues. Life is challenging, especially today for individuals.
And that goes back to the beginning of when you said, how do you evaluate a company and how do you evaluate a founder? And that you would choose the founder who has had, some tough things happen in their life versus somebody who has sailed through. Is that because you feel like they're maybe a little bit more prepared
I know they're
or
more
tougher?
prepared. I know I don't have to use the word tough but they are better prepared to deal with adversity.
Yeah.
And I know that's an essential ingredient to a successful life and to entrepreneurism.
Right.
So what happened then back to this story then, so I continued to travel the world in these really challenging situations that I constantly thrust myself into. And then it reached
And
the
you were
stage.
by yourself.
Most of the time I would go by myself.
Amazing.
That was a choice.
Yeah.
Because if you travel with a group, there's a whole lot of decision makers.
Right.
Where are you going to stop? When can you take a picture? Where's lunch? Where's the hotel? What
Did
route?
you have something to prove to yourself? Like, were you trying to prove something? Like, I'm going to conquer this, or?
Remember we talked about what makes you happy when you wake up every morning, the getting out of bed test?
Right.
Every day, I love to have a series of challenges and flexibility of time to do what I want. So it wasn't, I had no social media, zero.
Yeah.
The only way you'd find me historically until we're going to come to what I accomplished, only if you knew I was the founder of the investment banking operation of Houlihan Lokey could you find me. Otherwise, I didn't exist intentionally. Very, very private individual to an extreme. I would historically not have done this even, but I feel like I'm at a point, and I hear it too much. Ken, you got to write your book. You got to tell your story. And I understand that. I'm balancing what I think I'm comfortable with and what's ego, right? So it had reached the stage where I had written on 50 countries by then and 6 continents with Antarctica left to go. For 5 years, I pursued being able to ride a motorcycle on Antarctica. And all I got was a series of people telling me it's impossible. And every prospective cruise ship or plane that went there said, absolutely not. The State Department, I dealt with the individual that issues expedition permits, denied me. The new person gave me a glimmer of hope because I started talking about maybe an electric motorcycle. Very long story short, I found the company that has a monopoly for 2 months out of the year on providing logistical support to research stations that reside on the interior of Antarctica. They rent a Russian Ilyushin aircraft for 2 months out of the year because that's all weather allows. They land on this incredible blue ice runway in the middle of.
I saw a picture on your Instagram.
Exactly. I just came up
that.
on the 2-year anniversary of this, December 7th.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And by the way, this deal fell apart many times for a multitude of reasons, but December 7th, 2 years ago, right before COVID, I landed on this incredible blue ice runway with a BMW motorcycle crated up, proper crating material. And 6 days I rode in the most surreal, spectacular environment imaginable on the face of the earth. 25 below zero, howling wind, ice I couldn't even walk on, and snow. There's no roads, there's no civilization, there's nothing. And had the most incredible experience of becoming the first person in history to ride on 7 continents, including the interior of Antarctica. A few had ridden on the peninsula for a few minutes. So I didn't realize that no one had done this till 2 months before I left. This became the impetus for me thinking, I have to use this as a larger platform to inspire other people. I speak to a lot of people one-on-one, or I've lectured even to my Harvard Business School class on my lifestyle. They asked me to speak at a reunion a couple years ago, and I spoke to 500 people in my class and their spouses about my lifestyle and the venturous aspect of it. And I see the power of and the necessity to inspire other people to go beyond their comfort zones. So that's when I decided to form something I call Dance Upon the Precipice. And when you think about it visually, that's what a precipice is, almost right there at the peak. And you can either fall off one way or succeed. And so I'm encouraging people to get out of their comfort zones, persevere tenaciously through the challenges and the
That's
obstacles.
scary. That's very scary to get out of your comfort zone.
It's okay. There's
Right?
nothing wrong with that. You know, part of this is conquering fears, by the way. The way you conquer fears is confront them. The
Right.
more you process them, hide from them, think about it.
Make
It's like if you're,
excuses for them.
yeah, if you're a skier and you come to the top of a very steep slope, you will know the longer you stand there, the less inclined you are to drop your skis down that steep slope. Likewise in life, the more you're standing at the edge and not going, the more you're talking yourself out of it, the more you're processing the negative aspects instead of thrusting your, and I'm not, people don't have to do what I do. These things are life threatening. I mean, I just
Extreme.
off a racetrack a couple of weeks ago too. I'm just talking about whatever it is you're comfortable with in, whatever it is you do, get outside that to a certain extent. And I will tell you, once you've persevered through it, it is the most empowering feeling to then do something that's more ascendant.
Mhm.
And oh, by the way, it's a much more richly textured life.
Right.
Back to one life to live.
Right.
That's all we get. I don't know what goes beyond this. You know, we all have our own thoughts about that, and I respect them.
Right.
No one's ever come back to tell me there's something beyond this. So I'm going to do whatever I humanly can to make it as richly textured a life as possible, and to try to inspire other people to do likewise.
Right.
And that's all I can do. I can give the advice. I can live as a role model. I can have these one-on-one conversations. Then the beauty of existence, you make your own choice.